Okay, so I went to a church group yesterday, and it was kind of spontaneous. It wasn't really planned ahead. Well, not really. It was completely not planned ahead. I woke up really early Sunday morning, and like oddly early for me. It was like 6 a.m. or something. Got up and I did a kind of a walk. Just got that circadian rhythm going, and I think I was walking. Not exactly at 6. I think I stayed at home for a little bit, but I walked around for a bit. I don't know how long I was walking around for, but I walked by a church group that was trickling in at just kind of outside of a homeless shelter. So it was kind of incorporating some street community people with some people who were coming from all over town, and it was just good timing because they were opening up their service at the time that I was walking around. I walked by, I trickled in, I knew some people there, I shook some hands, they played some music, they basically gave their sermon. It wasn't really any scripture they were reading, they're kind of just saying why the Bible is accurate and true. I don't think... I would have preferred if they gave a little bit of like scripture rather than doing that. I did like the songs. I did like socializing with the people, and they had some free food, which was also good. But I guess the purpose of this video is how people digest Christianity is very different person to person. I do see a lot of mistrust towards pastors. And I'm kind of suspicious of pastors myself and organized religion in general because they're running a business and it's kind of suspect in that way. But then you look at people who don't go to church and claim that they're Christian, they don't really read the Bible or they cherry pick through it, and then that's kind of suspect too. So it's like, do you really need to be doing formal Bible studies, stick to the Bible to be a Christian? Probably by definition, I would assume so. But in the Bible, it does say you can't idolize people. I do see a lot of idolation of Jesus, which is God, and that's kind of the guideline of where you're shooting is to be a good person. And to do that, you don't need to read the Bible. But I think what the danger in there would be is in the Bible, it does say you can't idolize people. I would assume that would exclude Jesus and the prophets and Moses and all the other people that are in the Bible. I assume you could idolize them, but I'm not sure. I think the danger in that would be everyone would kind of opinionize and politicize the figure of Jesus, and they'd kind of just project what they view as a good person to be, and that is Christ-like in their opinion. And then you get very different interpretations and views on who Jesus was and what he represented. You question the literality of Scripture, and you have lots of different viewpoints on that. Kind of where I'm at with it is I do use the example of Jesus almost as an idol, as that's where you want to shoot, and I do view him as kind of a helping person who tries to do well for people, and I try to limit the harm that I do in the world, and to me that is my personal Christianity. It's not a Christianity that I believe in the afterlife exactly. It's more of an agnostic type of Christianity, and it kind of goes in line with Jordan Peterson's type of Christianity. And I do pray from time to time, but not often, very few and far between, and I do start the prayers with, if there is someone listening, if there is somebody. And I do know in the Bible, at least I think it's in the Bible, that God knows if you're not a believer. So there's no point to fake it till you make it, and through prayer pretend to have complete faith when you have doubts. But I did pray a few times in the last few months, and I feel like when you're very stressed, a prayer will help. And it doesn't have to be a religious type prayer. It has to be some sort of organization of your thoughts, striving for better. I think journaling and diary is in itself a part of prayer. Meditation is a form of prayer, I believe, in my interpretation of things. I don't want to sound too new agey. I know this video will attract both faithful people that are very Orthodox Christian and will view some of what I'm saying as blasphemy, and it'll also attract atheists who might even unsubscribe because I'm even talking about this. I'm not 100% sure. I'm kind of just rambling right now. But that's kind of my interpretation of it. It did help to have that community, and I think the church community is a positive community. It keeps away people that are shooting down, because there's a lot of people who really overuse the atheist thing, where it's not even atheism anymore, but it's almost a satanic type thing for almost laughs, where an atheist, to me, that's a scientist like a Richard Dawkins, who's just viewing things under a microscope and trying to find numbers that add up and trying to measure everything to scientifically prove, is one thing. But people who kind of have like 666 in their usernames and kind of make a joke of it, those people typically are always aiming down at maybe not. Like I'm not 100% sure. That's kind of my interpretation of them. But I am rambling at this point. It was good to get out. It was a day of healing for me, because I had awkward situations that happened the day prior, where I was kind of in my feelings and I was kind of triggered about certain things within my family, which supports me, and there's nothing there. It was on my end, and I felt a little bit of embarrassment perhaps, but I did speak my truth, and I do think that I'm a bit of a black sheep of my family as well. But instead of dwelling on that, I decided to do the walk, and I was healing through movement. And it's almost like physically, like you heal through movement, and science has been showing that now, that the old rest and ice technique has made injuries worse. And I think sitting around dwelling on things will make things worse, which is kind of ironic and paradoxical, because I have come to these conclusions, but at the same time, I am basically literally sitting alone right now, talking to myself on my mic, hoping for an audience, so it's not completely literal talking to myself, but it is, at least in this moment, I am doing that. So I do reflect a lot, and I think reflection and creating micro fractures in your belief will make them stronger if they're the correct beliefs, and if they're not correct, it will give you an opportunity to readjust and pivot to more correct beliefs and more acceptable choices to your life goals. So this is my video on that. I'm also going to close quickly with the whole incorporating your shadow thing that Carl Jung is known for, and has been repeated quite a lot by Jordan Peterson, at least in his early lectures and works. I'm not sure if he's still saying it now. He's kind of went off the deep end in a few ways, but I'm not going to get into that. But the incorporation of the shadow is very interesting, and I view it as important, and I'm not quite sure how to do this and what it would look like. I do feel like I have almost a Trevor Phillips type repressed side of me, where I do want to kind of act out and be a loudmouth and carefree and be a bit of a jerk. But I always feel like when I go to do something, it would bring shame to my mother, it would bring shame to my sisters and my family and my image and standing within the community. But my standing within the community is very small, because I'm kind of hiding away most of the time, walking on eggshells. So I'm trying to find a balance with that. I know I have a very tunnel vision type personality where I'm doing extremes here or extremes there. So if I feel the danger of incorporating a shadow to the point where I don't know if the ego would stop or if it would keep building and getting out of control. But I do need to at least not be such I don't need to grieve situations that haven't even happened yet. I feel like I do need some sort of balance where I need to feel like I have a little bit more of a dangerous side, and I don't know how to weigh that with the Christian ideals. And also I feel like if you're living life without reading the scriptures and you're kind of going by feeling of Christian faith, and you're taking more of the Protestant and more non-organized church-based type faith, you're more open to almost like a Buddhist understanding of Christianity, which I'm not sure if that's right or wrong. And because the Buddha in his early life was very sheltered at home, and when he went out into the world, he basically relied on the kindness of strangers, and it was almost like a trust exercise of leaning back and having the person catch you from behind. And that was kind of the Buddha's entrance into trusting people. And trust, I think, is a big important. They have shown people with dementia have been less trusting, and it might, if you're not trusting, you might become isolated to the point where that actually shrinks parts of the brain. So I do feel that was actually accommodated at this church because they were giving free food, and that was kind of what the Buddha did, is he would rely on the kindness of strangers to provide food to him. So there is some kind of communal faith to doing that. And when you're incorporating the shadow and you're looking towards your own ego to be built up and to kind of almost, it's a stepping stone towards the Ebenezer Scrooge type of thinking. It's extremely hard to balance these two ways of thought, and it's a yin and the yang. It's oil and water. It's something everyone struggles with day to day, and they find their own interpretations and tell themselves different things to kind of. We humans have been arguing about this since we've been here. And I'm not going to solve this in a YouTube video, but I am going to discuss it in a YouTube video. I hope people find this video a little bit interesting. I don't think I have anything else to add. I guess I'm kind of alluding to the duality of man thing, but then you can't turn off being a good person and turn on being a bad person, can you? Can you flip a switch? Can you be both? It's a very, and then if you incorporate it, then you never meet the ideal of being Jesus. And then Jesus said that the people in between that haven't choose a sign will be spit out like warm milk or whatever. Everything's very contradicting. I think be a good person, obviously, but you can't be a doormat either. Anyways, healing through movement, went to church, rambled on. I don't have a coherent thought. Some of these points, I hope hit somebody. It was an interesting day. It did help me. Prayer, talking to you guys through these videos helps. I got some other things on the go. I'm going to be doing the nature videos still, the ASMR, maybe every now and again. And I hope everyone's doing well. Peace.